Trump taking questions during meeting with Polish President Nawrocki at White House.
Questions from...
Will American soldiers remain in Poland? Will American soldiers remain in Poland?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, do you know something I don't? I don't know. Yeah, we're very happy. If anything, we'll put more there if they want. But they've long wanted to have a larger presence. We have some countries that have more, not too many, but no, they'll be staying in Poland. We're very much aligned with Poland.
Sir, on Russia and China, you, sir, can we ask about, we saw a dramatic picture where we saw the leaders of Russia and North Korea and China together, the first time the leaders of those three countries have been together in this sort of show of solidarity. You said that they're conspiring against the United States. What do you think they're conspiring to do? And given this, is it reason why you should slap or would consider slapping secondary sanctions on Russia if they're conspiring against the U.S. now?
Well, I've already done that with regard to India, and we're doing it with regard to other things. And I put out a truth last night. You saw that. And I was the one that brought it up. I said, they're only doing this. They're looking to, when they did what they did, I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very, very impressive. But I understood the reason they were doing it, and they were hoping I was watching, and I was watching. My relationship with all of them is very good. We're going to find out.
Yeah, he was jelly beans on the China parade. By the way, he was posting about the China parade on Truth Social. It was really funny.
How good it is.
Nawrocki was literally a hooligan who was beating people in hooligan fights. It's so funny. This man is my president, LaMFAO. He also has a literal Nazi friends, like with swastika tattoos, by the way. I mean, I'm not going to say nothing about Poland.
For the next week or two. I think that we helped China very much, as you know, when they talk about freedom. And I don't believe that, and maybe I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't believe that America, that the United States was acknowledged for helping China to gain its freedom. But perhaps that was just that was a sleight of hand. I mean, I was very surprised. I watched the speech last night. President Xi's a friend of mine. But I thought that the United States should have been mentioned last night during that speech because we helped China very, very much.
What was the reason?
They should have been invited, Mr. President.
What was the reason?
Mr. President, do you think they should have been invited?
Yes, go ahead.
You've expressed many times your frustration and disappointment with Putin, but there's no action since you took your office.
How do you know there's no? How do you know there's no action?
But
Really? Wait. Who are you with?
I'm with Polish radio.
Okay. How do you know there's no action? Would you say that putting secondary sanctions on India, the largest purchaser outside of China, they're almost equal, would you say there was no action? That cost hundreds of billions of dollars to Russia. You call that no action? And I haven't done phase 2 yet or phase 3. But when you say there's no action, I think you ought to get yourself a new job. Because if you remember, 2 weeks ago I said, if India buys, India's got big problems, and that's what happened. So don't tell me about that. Go ahead.
Mr. President,
Mr. President, right now there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these case files, these documents to be released. And Thomas Massey, who was sponsoring a discharge petition to get the House to vote on releasing those documents, says he doesn't believe you're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is...
Oh, God. Oh, God. You're talking about Epstein again. Don't do it. Nobody cares about Epstein. Just the New York financier. New York financier. Who cares? Why do you care? Do you care about finance? You're still talking about him? The Epstein guy? Who cares? Believe it.
Redacting them and slow walking the release. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C. It's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of art. It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen. No crime, no murders, no nothing. Because we had a lot of problems with certain places, and we still do, all run by Democrats, or for the most part run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the...
Oh, that's what people are doing with the Epstein hoax. He's still going along with the Epstein hoax, by the way. The Democrats are distracting people by talking about the Epstein hoax, as opposed to talking about his big, beautiful actions of illegally using the military as a domestic police force on populous American metropolitan cities. Why won't they talk about this? Why won't they talk about my illegal military occupation? It's so much better. It's so much better. Obama did Epstein.
Tremendous success, like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about, because they're going to talk about the Epstein, whatever. I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough, because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having. I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from 2 people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
When are you going to make a decision on Ukraine, Mr. President?
I have no message to President Putin. He knows where I stand, and he'll make a decision one way or the other. Whatever his decision is, we'll either be happy about it or unhappy. And if we're unhappy about it, you'll see things happen.
Sir, Venezuela, can you give us a sense of what the U.S. policy, or what you're trying to achieve with the aircraft carriers, or the boats, I should say, in near Venezuela, and also the boat that you mentioned yesterday where 11 people were killed? What was found on that boat, and why were the men killed instead of taken into
On the boat, you had massive amounts of drugs. We have tapes of them speaking. There was massive amounts of drugs coming into our country to kill a lot of people. And everybody fully understands that. In fact, you see it. You see the bags of drugs all over the boat. And they were hit. Obviously, they won't be doing it again. And I think a lot of other people won't be doing it again when they watch that tape. They're going to say, let's not do this. We have to protect our country, and we're going to. Venezuela's been a very bad actor. They've been, as you know, they've been sending millions of people into our country, many of them Tren de Aragua, some of the worst gangs, some of the worst people anywhere in the world in terms of gangs. And we had some in Washington, D.C. We took care of them very quickly, but they're out of here. They've gone. But Venezuela's been very bad, both in terms of drugs and sending some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world into our country. They emptied out, you don't know this, but they emptied out their prisons in Venezuela, and they emptied them out into the United States of America. And that's part of the problem we have. We're getting them out. We're getting them out rapidly, but it's caused a tremendous problem. And Pete and all of the people that are working very hard to rectify the stupidity of the Biden administration, allowing these people to pour into our country with open borders. We are paying a big price as a country for the incompetence of the Biden administration. But think of it, opened up prisons, drug dealers, drug lords, everything coming out of Venezuela, they said, and we said, we're not going to put up with it anymore. So Venezuela has been one of the worst actors in the whole group, and we have a group of pretty bad actors.
Are you wanting to force withdrawal?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. At the end of this month, the government, or the Congress, has to pass a budget. Do you think we can avoid a government shutdown?
Yeah, I do. I think the Republicans will vote for an extension. We won't have any Democrat votes. We could give the greatest budget ever. Tax cut of 50%, everybody taken care of, perfect for women, perfect for men, perfect for minorities, perfect for everything, and we wouldn't get one vote for the Democrats because they've lost their mind. They are so deranged. They have Trump derangement syndrome, and I don't want to burden the Republican Party with it, but they really are. They've become almost sick. They actually think there is a disease. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. They've got it. No matter what we did, no matter how good you could give them everything that they've ever dreamed of, and you wouldn't get one vote. These are sick people, and I think we're going to have a tremendous midterm. We just approved the largest tax decrease in the history of our country. We have things, if you think of it, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security for our seniors, no tax on overtime, deduction.
The Polish president just sitting there. Come on. I mean, that's a classic. That's a classic. This is what Trump does best, which is have world leaders sit there as he just postures endlessly about Trump derangement syndrome and just goes on and on. It's a part of sitting on the cuck chair. It's a part of the cuck experience. And I mean, he doesn't just do this to Poland. He does this to England. He does this to Germany. He does it to them literally at the same time. Remember, he did this when like Macron, Keir Starmer, like Ursula von der Leyen or Merz, like they were all sitting around the table, and he just made them sit there and just droned on and on and on and on about all of this nonsense. The only time he doesn't really do it as much is when he was with Vladipoo. I feel like he has more respect for Vladipoo, so it don't matter. Like, he doesn't do that. He doesn't pull that with Vladipoo.
When you buy a car and you borrow money to buy a car, first time they've ever seen anything like this, middle-income people get deductions. You get a deduction when you buy a car. Nobody's ever seen. And by the way, they're selling cars like crazy. Cars are pouring back because of the fact that we have tariffs. Cars are pouring back into our car plants are pouring back into our nation. They're coming from all over the world. They're coming back. You know, we lost about 54% of automobile manufacturing over a 30-year period, 35-year period. They're all coming back. I think they're coming back higher than ever before. We have AI going up. What we've done is amazing, and what we've passed is amazing. But the Democrats, I don't believe, will get one vote. It's very anti-crime. We want anti-crime. They're in favor of crime. We're against crime. You know, they gave us things like men playing in women's sports, open borders for everybody, transgender for everybody. I mean, they want a transgender.
This doesn't even make sense as like a sentence, okay? They want to transgender everybody. These guys have devolved so rapidly, especially in the last decade, that they don't even need to communicate using the English language. As long as you are grunting in the direction, the audience responds positively to it. I swear to God, in the next 5 years, if we're still alive, they're just going to go, trans, and then people will understand what the message is. It's like, oh, okay, I'm activated. He said the word, and he grunted. This was a negative grunt. They're trying to transgender for everybody. That makes no sense. What are you saying? It is a clear-cut indication that American political discourse has basically devolved into caveman shit. Everybody's computer, everything is transgender, everybody. And people go, hell yeah, dude, that's my old-ass president right there. I love him. I love him so much. He is so real. He's such a real one, dude. That's awesome. It's so dumb.
For all of the crazy things that they were saying, and, you know, people would say they're 80-20 issues. I say they were 97-3. I always say 97-3, and nobody knows who the three. I always
say it. Nobody knows.
This is the best.
Nobody knows what that means, but I say it anyway. Everybody transgender. Everybody transgender. Everybody knows. When I say it, everybody knows what that means. I like to say 99% to 1%. 99% say nobody transgender. 1% say everybody transgender.
Best issue of all. They are against preventing crime. They are fighting us. I want to go into Chicago, and I have this incompetent governor that doesn't want us. Do you know that this weekend?
Democrats love crime. They want to do more crime. They are criminals. Also, I was convicted, but that's okay. That was a crime in and of itself. Democrats are the criminals. They're crimers. They want crime. They want to legalize crime. Everybody transgender. Think about that. Like, the only reason why we're all aware of what he's trying to say here is because he has so much, I guess, messaging discipline on this issue. He is like the Bernie Sanders of of lying about Democrats. Like what Medicare for All is for Bernie Sanders. Like if Bernie Sanders went up on stage and was like, everybody Medicare, everyone would understand what he means, okay? And this is for Trump, it's just like everybody transgender, Democrats want crimes, immigrants are rapists, decapitators, and baby annihilators, and we just got to, we got to put a stop to that. That's it. Everything's computer, everything transgender. Transgender for all, that's what they want.
72 people were shot in Chicago. I'm embarrassed to say it in front of the president of Poland. 11 people were killed. 72 people were shot. Last week, 7 people were killed in Chicago, a place which is probably your number one place. I hate to say it.
Yeah, a lot of Poles in Chicago.
And we got to keep it safe. But 7 people were killed. The week before that, 5 people were killed and 21 people were shot. This is in 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, I lost almost 35 people were killed. It could have been stopped. If you look at Washington, D.C., 3 weeks ago, it was the same or worse. And now it's considered a totally safe zone. Restaurants are open. They're bustling. Restaurants, you have to see, restaurants were dying. Nobody wanted to go out. They didn't want to be attacked. They didn't want to be mugged. They didn't want to be attacked even in the restaurant. And you take a look at what's happened. Friends of mine that haven't gone to a restaurant in 4 years, one of them went out 5 times in the last 2 weeks to a restaurant with his family. They feel totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a totally safe city. You're not reporting any crime because there is none. They said crime is down 87%, and I said, no, it's not. It's down 100%. We have a great thing going. I could do that with Chicago. We could do that with New York. We could do it with Los Angeles. So we're making a determination now. Do we go to Chicago or do we go to a place like New Orleans?
Yeah, now he's saying he's sending him to Chicago, by the way. And he also presented, he floated the idea of like invading New Orleans as well, which would be, I guess, the first of its kind for a red state. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to go for Chicago. Any reason he never mentioned San Francisco? I feel like that's the Republicans' favorite city to shit on. I think that's old school because remember, San Francisco is now like right wing kind of because all the tech billionaires and shit. So it's good now because all the libertarian like pro gay fake woke tech billionaires have decided that they love Trump and they're going to defend Trump. So their stomping grounds are no longer presented as a major threat.
Orleans, where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry, who wants us to come in and straighten out a very nice section of this country. That's
also San Francisco is not. I mean, Oakland is, but San Francisco itself is not black enough, I don't think. So that's part of the reason why he doesn't have that same level of smoke. Because like Chicago's a black city, there's a higher percentage population of black people in Chicago, right? Atlanta, Chicago, a lot of places in the South as well. If he were to like send the military there, he would be sending him to like majority or not even majority, but like higher percentage black population areas.
Become quite tough, quite bad. So we're going to be going to...
That's why he's talking about Baltimore, for example.
Maybe Louisiana, and you have New Orleans, which has a crime problem. We'll straighten that out in about 2 weeks. It'll take us 2 weeks, easier than D.C. But we could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us to go into Chicago if we don't have the support of some of these politicians. But I'll tell you who is supporting us, the people of Chicago. And I sort of want them to let it be known they have incompetent people. A guy like Gavin Newsom.
It sucks because like everything I said about what he was doing when I was covering the LA protests and like the LA military, the LA military invasion, I said it was as a testing ground that he was going to inevitably send the troops to, like he was basically testing the public appetite for this kind of thing, and the pushback that he was going to receive, and that he was inevitably going to go after other blue cities as well. And it's obvious that he's doing that. Like that's precisely what the goal was. That's it.
He's the governor of a state that if we didn't go into Los Angeles with our soldiers, with our National Guard, you wouldn't even be having the Olympics there. They were going to take it. And remember this, your top law enforcement officer in Los Angeles said, there's no way we could have done this without President Trump coming in.
That's also bull. I mean, that's bull. Everyone that is like, even people who are a part of like the policing structure in Los Angeles were not happy about armed, lethal military members storming the fucking streets. Even if ultimately it was a show of force, even if ultimately it didn't like amount to anything, and it was a totally unnecessary posture, partially because like domestic police is already heavily militarized anyway. And there was no need for that level of like pushback. No one actually thought that this was great. The mayor was against it. The cops didn't actually appreciate it either. I mean, we were there. A big part of what the police riot control movements were to move the crowds away from the federal buildings where there were federal law enforcement officers propped up on balconies and shit, like less than lethal ordnance that they were deploying onto crowds. Like the cops' entire job there was to move the crowds away to the best of their ability and disperse them throughout other streets of Los Angeles. The NOLA mentioned as part of their expansion of Angola Plantation as an ICE camp. New Orleans natives remember how the National Guard and cops murdered people in the streets during Katrina. Yeah, that's also another part of obviously America's dark history.
In with the troops. We saved Los Angeles and we saved the Olympics. Thank you very much.
No, sir, I got this, sir. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Mr. President, in regards to Gavin Newsom, would you be open to a congressional investigation in regards to the specific Palisades fire where killed 12 seniors to see if there's any negligence on Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass in regards to those deaths?
Well, I'll tell you, there's negligence on not getting people permits. That is negligent. We got all of the federal permits. Lee Zeldin. The federal permits are much more difficult. They were all gotten within 30 days. People could go build their houses. It's going to be years before they are allowed to build their house. And Karen Bass is grossly incompetent. And Newsom, this is a very incompetent guy. I watched him with the hands. I'm saying, what's going on with the hands? There's something wrong with him. Do you watch him? There's something wrong with this guy. But more importantly, he didn't allow the water to come from the Pacific Northwest. You know, they have tremendous amounts of water in California. People don't know. They send the water out to the Pacific Ocean. So I demanded it be open. If that were open during the fire, before the fire, you wouldn't have had the fire because all the sprinklers would have worked in the houses. They had no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants. You wouldn't have had the fires. It would have been put out after one house, two houses. But he stopped the water from coming in. And I had to send in the military to have that water opened after the fires. And now they have water, but he should have more because they've restricted, they still restricted. There's something wrong with these people. There's something really wrong. As to investigation, I view it as a gross incompetence. I view it as an ideology that's wrong. It's a radical left ideology. And if I didn't win this election, I think our country would be destroyed. I don't believe you'd be here right now, and our country would be destroyed. Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you, sir. What's the most important branches of interest between Poland and U.S. in your opinion?
Well, it's just the relationship we have. I think there's a great trust and a great, more than most countries, more than almost any countries. We have some in a category that's very special, and Poland is in that category. We have a very special relationship. It's like the question about the soldiers that was asked. We never even thought in terms of removing soldiers from Poland. We do think about it with regard to other countries, but we would never know. We're with Poland all the way, and we will help Poland protect itself.
Awesome. It's just, I'm beginning to notice a pattern here where it's like every problem requires sending the military. Sending the military. Poland exists. Send in the military. We need to use the military. The military is a necessity. Is there crime happening? It's time for the military. Open presents. Thank you for the 25 gifted subs. Time to send the military to open presents.
I would like to add something. Yeah, of course, security is most important also for our relation.
I mean, it's giving declining empire for sure. Okay, when your only active industry is around the military-industrial complex, and like your only large organizational, like the largest labor force that you have is just a bunch of dudes with guns, the military, outside of, like, I don't know, Walmart distribution facilities and Amazon distribution facilities, then yeah, you're going to keep using that. You're going to keep using that for everything. Keep using the military. It's the best. We have it. Time to invade. We got a military waiting. What be a real shame if we don't use it. This bro, he's like, oh, we got real issues with housing. Send in the military. Bomb the houses and rebuild them.
And I'm a historian, as you know, maybe, Mr. President. Sure. I'm a historian, and this is the first time in Polish history, in 20th century and the 21st century, that the Poles are happy that we have foreign soldiers in Poland. So the American soldiers are the part of our society nowadays. We have almost 10,000 soldiers, and this is the signal to the whole world and also to the Russian Federation that we are together, but we are not like the Poland free riders in Europe and in NATO. Mr. President Trump knows it, because our GDP for military service achieved 4.7, so we are probably the one NATO nation which is on this level, and we will not stop. Me, as the President of Poland, we are going to achieve 5% of GDP for military service, but with American soldiers on Polish soil, we solidified and we are secure.
Just about that, Poland was one of two nations that paid more than they were supposed to with NATO. I don't know if anyone knows that, but there were two nations. And Poland paid more than they were supposed to. They thought it was low. And by the way, since then, at my request, they've raised it from 2% to 5%. But Poland was one of two nations that paid more than they were supposed to, which was a very nice thing. Yeah.
You were not invited to the parade in Beijing.
Never even thought about it until just now.
President Kaczynski, what's your message for President?
Never even thought. It wouldn't have been my place to be there.
On tariffs?
Will you visit a restaurant in D.C.? You haven't gone to...
I might, sure.
You haven't gone to one in either of your terms that wasn't...
How do you know? How do you know?
Because I and many other...
Do you want me to prove you wrong? Do you want me to prove you wrong?
Yes, please.
But I will, I think it's something we could consider doing. I'd love to do it. I love the White House food, but after a while I could see going to a nice restaurant. It's safe. If you would have said, like, the Governor Moore wanted me to go and walk through Baltimore with him, and I said, I think I'm a brave guy, but there's no reason to be stupid. They have crime that's at levels that nobody's ever seen before in Baltimore. They've done a terrible job. We'd go into Baltimore, straighten it out very quickly, too. You know why? They respect our soldiers. You see our soldiers. They respect our soldiers. We'd go there, too. But we're going to have people asking us to go. They're going to want to, and I think the people of those places the politicians are not in tune with the people. The people in Chicago, the people in Baltimore, the people in all of the places we talk about, they want to see us there. And I think we're pretty much waiting till we get asked, and properly. Because we're doing them a big service. Yeah, please.
You talked about how historic these tariffs have been, bringing in revenue, additional revenue for our country. You've also mentioned before they could possibly replace federal income tax.
Possible.
Do you think that's...
Someday it's possible. It used to be. So if you go back to 1913 is when they ended tariffs. We were the richest ever from 1850. It was all tariffs. We didn't have income taxes. From 1850 to 1913. In the 1887s, about 1887.
It's good comparable state of international trade and commerce, I think. That's definitely a similar trade environment. That's what I like to think of when I think of, like, well, this worked in 1837 or 1887. Why can't it work now? That's great. This is even dumber than fucking people doing the, we got to go back to the gold standard shit, okay?
And the Great National Tariff Act. And it was a group of people that got together because our country was so rich, they didn't know what to do with the money. We had so much money, they didn't know what to do. It was a group of very prominent people that were set up to hand out money to everybody because we were the richest we ever were. Proportionately, we were in 1887, around that time, even in 1913. We ended them in 1913. How did that work out? And then we went to the income tax system, and then we had the Depression. And by the way, a lot of people try and say that, oh, tariffs with the Depression. No, they ended in 1913, and then we went to income tax, and then in 1929 you had the Depression. They did try and bring it back in 1931-32, but the Depression had long started, and this poor, beautiful nation was gone. It was gone. We suffered for 25 years. It took 25, 30 years to really recover from the Depression. And we don't ever want to see that happen again. The tariffs are vital to the success of this country. When I say I ended 7 wars, at least half of those wars were ended because of the power of tariffs. I was able to say, well, we're not doing any business with you, or if you're going to war, we're putting a big tariff on you. And all of a sudden they announced that the war was settled. I settled 7 different wars, one going 31 years, look at the Congo and Rwanda, look at that, 31 years, 10 million people dead. I got it settled. And a little bit of that one, less than in some cases, had to do with trade and had to do with tariffs. So, you know, tariffs are vital to our country. And just so you know, other countries use them on us, but I just used them a lot better. We're in a much better position. We have trillions of dollars coming into our country. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be a very poor nation, and we would be taken advantage of by every other nation in the world, friend and foe. We're not going to let that happen. And we have a very, very big case in the Supreme Court. I can only say this. Our country has a chance to be unbelievably rich again, but it can also be unbelievably poor again. If we don't win that case, our country is going to suffer so greatly.
What's the backup plan, sir?
But I think we're going to have a big victory. Even if you look at the people that brought the case, they're foreign-oriented. They're foreign. Countries have taken advantage of the United States for so many years. And I started with China. You know, last term, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from China. But when COVID came, the last thing I was going to do is we're going to tariff France and Italy.
There's a non-zero number right when you're sitting at home watching him speak, rubbing their chin as they ponder the profundity of Trump's statements. I mean, they also think he's hot. Like that in and of itself is, I think, the clearest indication of someone's mania. Like there are people who look at Donald Trump and think he's like a sexy guy. I always like to point to that to show you like how insane these lunatics are. Because like if you look at something that is right in front of your eyes and you don't see what other people are seeing, what everyone is seeing, and you just see something entirely different, like you're a crazy person. You're a lunatic. My dad describes Trump as handsome and elegant. Oh my God. I'm sorry, man. When I saw those ladies wearing like Trump can grab my pussy t-shirts, I was like, this is over. This is not a normal movement. I mean, people think RFK is healthy. These guys are just responding to stimuli. They're not responding to what they can see. They are already on board with the don't believe your lying eyes, okay?
And, you know, others, Spain, when they were doing so badly. But now we made a deal with the European Union where they're paying us almost $1 trillion, and they're happy to do it. You know what? They're happy. It's done. These deals are all done. I guess we'd have to unwind them. We've done deals with Japan, with South Korea. We've done deals with many countries and others to come. And if we didn't have the power, prestige, and dignity of tariffs, and I used them wisely, and people respect America again, and we've become a rich country again. The money coming in is incredible. And again, they use them on us. If we didn't have them, they would use them on us, and we would have no way to fight them. We would be a third world nation. So I think it's one of the most important cases I've ever seen go before the Supreme Court of the U.S.
2 weeks ago, you gave Vladimir Putin a 2-week deadline to agree to talks with Volodymyr Zelensky. That deadline is now nearly approached. Can you give us any indication of when you will make a decision?
Well, I'm having a conversation with him very shortly, and I'll know pretty much what we're going to be doing. We've taken very strong action, as you know, and in other ways we've taken very strong action. But I'll be speaking to him over the next few days, and we're going to see.
With who, sir?
I'm going to know exactly what's happening.
Mr. President,
but I'm not happy with all the people. You got 7,819 people killed last week. Russian soldiers and...
This number changes. Wait, why does he try to do like the exact number every time? Because yesterday he said 7,894. Now he's saying 7,819. It's just... We've totally moved beyond like assuming that a position like the bully pulpit is supposed to is supposed to require a level of like decency, and a guy like the president is not supposed to just like make numbers up. And it's awesome that you could just say whatever the fuck you want. There is very little that Trump says that is real. Okay. As a matter of fact, the only time where he's like actually being honest and transparent is whenever he talks about like the unlimited cruelty that America is going to bring about the rest of the world, where he'll be like when people will be like, oh, why are you giving weapons to Saudi Arabia? He goes, well, do you have $1 billion? They'll buy it from Russia. If they don't buy it from us, someone's got to buy these weapons. Like, that's the only time where he's like transparent or honest. He's only honest when he is talking about his dishonesty. But every other thing is just either lies, or now the new meta is just simply shouting out not even a talking point, but shouting out a word, one word. Everybody transgender. Everybody understands what that means now. They make up their own minds as to what this is supposed to mean.
Ukraine soldiers, right? Not American soldiers, not soldiers from Poland, but they're human beings, they're souls. They have parents, they wave goodbye to their parents, and their parents never see them again. That's the end of them. Over a stupid war, and I want to see it stopped. Now, we have stopped the money. We send weapons to NATO. They pay full price.
NATO.
We don't, Biden spent $350 billion so stupidly. And it was one of the reasons that this whole thing happened. A big reason this war happened was sitting right in these chairs, this one in particular. So I will tell you that I think we're going to have
thank you for the 5 gifted.
A good solution. But they're losing soldiers at levels that nobody has seen since the Second World War. This is the worst conflict, and it's just going on and on. It's one's defense, one's offense. The offense moves a little bit, just a little bit. You take a look. They move inches. They're dropping bombs and killing everybody. The whole thing is not since the Second World War has there been anything even close to this. And they're not soldiers from my country. This is my country. But I have a power to end things. That's why I was able to end 7 other wars. And you know that I thought of the 7. They're basically 7. Those are tough wars to end.
Like this. This is what I mean. When I say he just like makes shit up, this is a perfect example. Sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's basically 7. And it's like, he didn't do any of that. He's just making it up. Like, either these conflicts came to a halt because of the two belligerents, okay? Or he's just lying. And especially when he says, like, sometimes he said 10 last week, then you know he's lying. That's not even real. He just made up a number. And the only reason why he's saying that is because he can't actually end the 2 conflicts that he said he was going to end day 1. Russia's invasion of Ukraine and Israel's genocide of the Palestinian population in Gaza. He said he was going to end them day 1, and he couldn't, even though he has all the power to do so with especially Israel, and he just doesn't have the ambition, not even interested, okay? And with Russia, he couldn't do it. He genuinely thought Vladimir Putin respects him enough that he would like back away or offer him like this gift of no more military incursion in Ukraine. He was a moron, and it didn't happen. So he has to make up to be like, I've ended 7 wars.
Much tougher, I thought, than the war with Ukraine and Russia. I thought that Ukraine and Russia have a very good relationship with President Putin. I thought that that would be much easier. I thought that would be in the middle of the pack, maybe one of the easiest. Sometimes you never know with war. You know, war is a very interesting thing. You never know with war. War is complex and dangerous, and what a mess. What a bloody mess.
August 25th.
Good job. You're stopping a lot of war. just the presidents we're stopping. We've stopped 7 wars, and really the number is actually 10. We're not including a couple, and we're not including in there what we did with Iran, stopping their nuclear play. They would have had within a month or 2, they would have had a nice big nuclear weapon to use. That's not going to happen. That won't happen.
I mean, what do we say to this? Like, what can you say to this? And it's sad because sometimes people misunderstand me when I talk about like certain content creators and their popularity, which we found is not even so organic as we previously thought. I'm not going to name any names. It's not that like there's envy or jealousy there that another content creator is more popular than me. There are a million content creators that are more popular than me. It's the fact that there are people tuning in who agree with this reactionary framework that frustrate me. And this is no different. It's not that Trump is like a bumbling old baboon, senile and constantly lying. It's the fact that people actually love him and they also agree with him and they think he is brilliant. That's the most discouraging thing, because if like everybody recognized what the he was and reacted appropriately and like, you know, constantly tried pushing and then there was like a significant militant response against that sort of thing, then I would say, you know, at least the population is smart. At least the population understands what's going on. At least your neighbors know what the fuck is up. What makes me sad is the fact that there is a 30% part of this population that unironically, no matter what he does, will turn around and say, nah, man, that's my president. You stupid libtard. He's hot. He's healthy. He's 215 pounds and he's 6'4" and he can dunk a basketball and he's ending all the wars. It's like, oh my God. It's just so frustrating. It's so frustrating to have to deal with people who have decided that they can just hallucinate an alternative reality. And those guys have so much play on our lives. Like even the military incursions, even the, you know, send the military, send the Marines, send the National Guard to Chicago. Like that's done for those guys. Okay. Those guys who are just like, hell yeah, brother, we got to do more militant response to solve this unlimited crime in blue cities where seemingly there's a lot of black people. Like that's who he's doing it for. Or hell yeah, brother, we got to deport every Guatemalan. They're scary. They got salsa hips. They're dancing. I hate that. That's who he's doing this for. Those guys have so much play. The dumbest, most psychotic, racist people in American society that have never left their hometowns get to dictate what we all experience. And that is so frustrating. Is it in line with what's going on or not? I mean, look at this. Florida moves to end all school vaccine mandates, first in nation to do so. How the can you look at this and go, this is great. This is great, brother. Fantastic. I can't wait. Hell yeah, brother. We're going to get rabies and that's fine. We're bringing back Legionnaire's disease. Awesome.